Hi, I'm Anton from Beast in Black and you're watching Grim TV.
How are you doing today?
All good, thanks. Like, how are you yourself?
Quite okay. I mean,
Okay.
it's always nice to be out and about in, well, these days.
Yeah.
Well, let's get right into it. We're here to talk about your upcoming new Beast in Black album, Dark Connection.
Yeah.
Well, it's a little bit of a redundant question, but I'm guessing you're pretty excited about it coming out.
Yeah, I mean, based on the two first singles, the response has been really positive and people seem to anticipate it quite much. So
Yeah.
it also like reinforces our thought about the album that it's probably gonna be alright. But you never know until 29th of October, so fingers crossed the signs are good.
Yeah, it seems it's quite anticipated. Like even in our team of writers, it was like named as one of the most anticipated for the month.
Okay,
So
wow.
like got featured in our article about the most anticipated ones of this month.
Okay.
So
Nice.
people are looking forward to it. So that's good.
Great to hear. That's great to hear.
Now for this album, I was kind of wondering, did you like do anything different than the other albums, or like did the whole pandemic thing influence anything on like recording and stuff?
Yeah, well, the pandemic influenced it in a way that it made this album possible.
Okay.
Otherwise, this album would have seen the light of day only in 2023 or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We got the time to do it because we had planned lots of gigs and tours for 2020 and 2021, but now they all were like postponed or cancelled or something like that. We were able to focus solely on the album and the things related to the album, such as the music video. Moonlight Rendezvous, which was the first single, and the first script actually for that music video came already in May 2020. So we were working simultaneously on that and the album, and also on the next and third music video. The second one is already out, but the third one is yet to come. So lots of work, and the difference was that the videos turned out to be much more like massive and ambitious than any previous videos we've had. And we want to keep it that way also in the future. It's more satisfying from an artistic perspective, you know, to keep things interesting to yourself and not just to do the basic stuff, you know. Okay, let's play in a music video and some like lame as slow-mo story that goes alongside with the playing. It's okay, it's not always so lame, but it's kind of been there for so long time, it's been done. We wanted to do something else, and even though the story kind of videos are also, they have been done. Michael Jackson is like the best example. He always tried to do this kind of short films, but no one has done this type of video with the Cyberpunk. So much like kind of Blade Runner influences and Armitage the Third. That's an anime from 1995. So it brought lots of kind of new things in this kind of heavy metal band music industry, I think.
And well, I was gonna ask how much fun was it, but obviously since you're saying that you want to kind of continue going that direction, I'm guessing it was quite okay to do it. Makes me wonder though, I've seen a couple of like metal bands or rock bands even recently, possibly because of the extra time they had now, that they actually made kind of like a full movie that goes along with the whole album.
Okay.
Would that be something that like interests you then in that regard, like to be very artistic and like have like a whole story going with the full album?
Yeah, you know, like Crimson Idol from Wasp already, when was it, in the early 90s when it came out? They shot a film, like a full feature film for that. And so it's been done already, but what everyone does it in their own way. Like what we are like presenting here is like, as I said already, this cyberpunk influenced thing, and it's fascinating also because of the thing that you kind of are in this world where humans and humanoid robots are set like in front of each other and kind of deal with the emotions there between them, while the humanoid robots are sometimes even more humane than humans, but they don't have the same rights. They're not treated equally like the humans, and that raises interesting like thoughts and questions. And at the same time, this cyberpunk background for the whole story is visually so interesting that it kind of already in its visual way it can kind of give the viewer some kind of a triggering, like to create your own, like compose your own stories. While you look at the visuals, you see, wow, what is this big city and all these things. There's this one character, what it's like to be there, what happens there, and what is the purpose of this person there. And so it's really like a rich playground.
Would be cool if you ever find the time and energy and motivation and so on to see what you guys like do with actually like a more in the direction of like a like full feature movie. That would be cool to see.
Yeah, or a bunch of short films.
Yeah.
Full feature film is something like some Finnish bands have done it, like Lordi and Nightwish. But let's see. At the moment, I believe that you can't serve two masters. After all, we are a band, and we can do this thing to some extent.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I saw a couple of like really like, well, quite some really good reaction on that first video. That like really cool and like different for you guys, like you said. It just like made me think about what else could be possible. Like I've seen bands do like several short videos, like. Forgot the name now of the band, but there's like a death metal band that had like several videos for every song on the album, and if you played all of them after each other, you had the whole story. Like those are like cool creative ideas that I've seen pop by lately. So I thought of asking. I mentioned that on this album, it's like a quite obvious bit more cyberpunk direction than it was ever before. Was that like something that just came about, or was that like a direction you wanted to go from the get-go, or?
Well, I already knew in 2018 that the third Beast in Black album will be cyberpunk themed.
Yeah.
But to me, it's kind of a return to the roots, because with my previous band, Battle Beast, I wrote the 3 first albums, out of which the 2 first ones were heavily influenced by cyberpunk. So to me it was a familiar topic, and I felt that okay, now is the time to go back to this. It's something in it started to resonate in me again after many years. So it's not so such a new thing for me, but when it comes to Beast in Black profiles, it gives a new profile for us. And also, like compared to the past, like this time I wanted to focus, as I mentioned, like in this connection between humans and humanoid robots. Like what is the emotional like world there between those two entities?
Those are interesting like topics to think about and probably go on about for hours.
yeah, and it's been happening for decades and decades, and there's been books about it, and then eventually the film Blade Runner came in '82, which deals exactly with the same thing, so it's not a new thing, but it's like something that keeps fascinating us as humans.
Yeah. And by going back to more cyberpunk, is that kind of how like the synths and such became more prominent this time around in the music, or doesn't really have any connection?
I think it's more like what the song needs.
Yeah.
I when writing music, it's all about listening to what does the song ask for, and that is a subjective thing, of course. What is my subjective view? I will follow that. But if you give one kind of a song idea to another producer, his subjective view might be totally different. He would still recognize the song as the same song, but it would probably not sound as retro futuristic with all the keyboard stuff and so forth. But somehow I think it maybe subconsciously, like, I decided to do it with more keyboards because I knew, okay, Cyberpunk, so I'm gonna be really heavy with the keyboards. Maybe not, because the writing process is really like just focusing on the music and what you want to hear without like letting anything else dictate what the song needs. But just go with the instinct, creative instinct, what you have, and trust that.
It fits really well with the Cyberpunk, like that kind of synthwave synthesizer and such, like 80s sound that just fits perfect with the with the themes.
Yeah, and that's why we chose Moonlight Rendezvous as the first single. It has all the elements, instrumentation-wise, sound-wise, lyric-wise, and visual-wise. So that's why it's kind of the like visitor card or visit card of this album, so to speak.
And I kind of love it how you were saying like it's just what the songs asked for, like as if like the song is like a living thing. Because I recently had a conversation with Tuomas Holopainen that went exactly the same direction, where he was saying like I just sometimes the song comes out easy, sometimes it's difficult to get them out, and like you just follow what the song demands. Yeah, so it's kind of really cool to hear that from another musician, like with the same way of thinking.
That's how it is, you know. You just at some point you have to just like trust that, you know. I guess some bands or artists might be worried about their kind of output regarding what will people accept or say about it, because it's too unfamiliar, it's not like what they used to hear. But you have to be brave enough to trust those instincts. But still, if you do it always since the day one, the way how you feel, they will always hear that the main essence is there, you know, the sense of melody, the choice of chords, like the chord progressions, all that is still kind of more or less the same. But then everything else with the keyboards and the production, those things can change, but the essence will still remain the same.
Yeah, and I love it, like on some songs that it's like super Eurodance forwards. There was that one song,
One Night in Tokyo.
Yeah, that one. It's like it's super Eurodance forwards, but then at the same time, while you recognize it as European, that it's Eurodance, it really makes me think about Tokyo and Japan. And I found that really like interesting and well done.
Okay, thank you. It's nice to hear it.
Now, since the whole album theme is more cyberpunk, like I read or saw somewhere that you're already thinking about like stage production and such. I'm guessing you're gonna go more in the direction of cyberpunk with that as well.
Yeah, that's the plan. Of course, you wanna complement the album content with the stage production as well. It's comes without saying. So, but there are many alternatives, like what to do and how to do, and how much time we have, and how wild ideas we have, how much it costs to make something happen. I mean, I've had some wild ideas already regarding this period, like 3 years ago. I knew something that I want to see with this third album, like on stage, and it requires quite a lot of money. But you know, but you just have to like. Don't be like too modest. Like if something feels like it's too difficult, too costly, and too crazy, nothing is. Like just if you think it will work out, and you somehow can imagine it as a part of this, just keep that and like start to work on it. It can be a long process, takes years, but someday it will pay off, and you will say, wow, it's done now, and it's part of like what we are, and part of Beast in Black's evolution. Evolution is not fast. So you have to take your time
Yeah.
in these things as well.
Yeah, no, I like every time that I see you guys live, I notice like little differences, little upgrades. So that's kind of nice to like notice that evolution is indeed happening. Like,
Yeah. Okay.
well, if you
Cool.
if you see you guys regularly live, then
Yeah.
you start to notice those things. Now you mentioned like that, for instance, Blade Runner is an influence in the album. Made me kind of wonder, of the Blade Runner movie, which of the cuts do you prefer?
Yeah. Well, I've seen the different endings. You know, when they drive with the car away, or the one with the elevator just closes, and that's it. And anyway, I prefer like to see all the versions. Like usually when there's a film that I like, I'm just curious. Like, okay, will they inspire me, like in some different way, or will one version give something that the other didn't? So I don't really have a preference. Even like, you know, with Terminator 2 and like Avatar and films like that, you know, I've seen the different versions, but overall they don't like change that much to me. Like if a film is something, if I like some film, I will like it probably no matter what version. Usually it's a film from the 80s and 90s also, because I kind of like those aesthetics and courage what they had back in the day. But nowadays everything feels too neutral. Like this Marvel stuff that keeps coming out, it's actually really neutral, at least to me. Like too much like following the same formula and pattern. That kind of makes you, and everything is played so safely, and that's my opinion. But yeah.
And kind of going on that, what did you think of the sequel, Blade Runner sequel?
Oh, the 2049.
Yeah.
Well, I liked it. You know, it's really like beautiful first of all, and I like the actor. What was his name? This Ryan Gosling.
Yeah.
But somehow it felt kind of too like stretched, like maybe half an hour too long or something like that. You know. And it didn't have Rutger Hauer, unfortunately.
Yeah, I thought of asking about that since Blade Runner was mentioned a couple of times, and
yeah, actually, the interesting thing is that Rutger Hauer, the original Blade Runner, like it's kind of events are happening in the year 2019, and then Roy Batty, the character of Rutger Hauer, dies 2019, and in real life Rutger Hauer died in the year 2019.
Right.
So I don't know, universe is really trying to tell something.
And now for this album, like you use inspiration from like Blade Runner and Hermitage 3, and well, Berserker of course again. And like I know you're quite the anime manga fan and stuff. Is there like any like story you really love that you would like try to incorporate in Beast and Black sometime in the future or something?
Well, for instance, on this album, Mulholland Rendezvous itself was heavily influenced by Armitage III, but also the song Highway to Mars, it was actually solely influenced and based on Armitage III. So it's not really kind of a hybrid of inspirations. It actually tells the part of the Armitage III story about the main guy traveling, you know, from Earth to Mars and starting his life anew there, and meeting this Naomi Armitage, this woman. There are a lot of animes from which to write songs, even something that has nothing to do with Berserk or Cyberpunk, for example, Grave of the Fireflies. It's a really like sad story, like probably, well, I think it's the saddest like anime out there, real tear jerker, so to speak. So emotional that I would love to write a song about it, but the challenge is then, okay, how can I would first need to kind of make the song without any lyrics, without anything, to feel equally like matching to the anime, like emotion-wise. So it's equally dramatic and like sad feeling, nostalgic and melancholic and all that. So that's a challenge, but maybe someday I'll do that as well.
Yeah, I just thought of asking because there's not that crazy many metal bands or power metal bands that actually like take from the kind of anime pool of stories and inspiration. Like usually it's more kind of fantasy, maybe sci-fi, but like Beast in Black is like distinct. A lot of anime in there, so that's kind of cool to see.
I guess it's because, you know, to me anime became part of my life when I was a small kid already, and it has stayed ever since.
Now on this album you also have a couple of cover songs. I saw in another interview that the Michael Jackson cover was because it was basically the first song you learned to play on your first guitar.
Yeah, that was one of the first guitar riffs that I tried to learn on my own first electric guitar. But that was not the reason why we chose that as a cover. But it just kind of triggered a memory in me when we were doing that. I was thinking, I remember me being in my bedroom in the village where I was growing up and playing that riff like on an open D string. It was really nice.
It just makes me wonder if there's like any other songs that have like some special meaning to you, like either from like your youth or like learning music or whatever, that you would maybe love to try to like turn in a Beast in Black song in the future.
There are too many. I mean, like this covering and composing thing. It's a, you know, we are a sum of our past, and all the good things, all the good songs and compositions, stories, films, books, art, which we like, it stays there in our subconscious, and when we do our own thing, those influences come out naturally. Sometimes we don't know, but we're not aware that what we actually now wrote here, it's actually something that I took from a couple of songs combined, but it's like my own thing because I combined those two. But if you break them in half, you realize that this is not mine, this is not mine, but when I put them together, it's mine.
Okay, well,
something like that.
Be looking forward to see what else you might bring in the future. Well, lots of luck with the album, and hopefully we get to see you on the stage again soon.
Fingers crossed, definitely.
I think everyone is crossing their fingers a bit on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess we're about there. Anything you would like to add still to finish this?
Well, first of all, thanks for the patience, for everyone, for waiting for this album. I know it's been quite a long time, and I hope it will give a lasting and enjoyable listening experience when it's out there. And when we are back on the road, just come to the shows and have fun with us, you know. So until then, take care of yourselves, your family and friends.
All right. Thank you for the talk.
Thank you.